would like to show you how I make my pizza dough. And we're going to do what we call a cold rise. Therefore, we're going to put it in the refrigerator after we put it together. And that will develop more texture, more flavor, and it won't overproof. Because if you let it overproof, then it develops too much carbon dioxide, CO2, and ethanol, and it tastes horrible. I've got 3/4 cups of warm water, and it was exactly 110 degrees, and I put 2 teaspoons of yeast. And now I'm going to put 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon measurer. So I just put 1 teaspoon, and there's a 1/2. And that'll give your yeast something to munch on. And it also helps your crust to brown. You know, it does a lot of things. I'll have to do another video on that one day. All right, and to this mixture also, I want to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This is a 2 teaspoon measure. And it's probably just a little tiny bit over 2 teaspoons, y'all. And that's okay. I've got to order my good olive oil tomorrow. Okay. Now we're just gonna stir this up and just leave it alone. We're not gonna add salt to this because salt will kill your yeast. Now, there's a lot of different types of yeast, and I've talked about that before. Pretty much, I use whatever kind of yeast I've got, but there are yeast that, you know, you don't really think about it. You don't really go, well, what kind of yeast is this, or what kind of yeast is that? So, first of all, with pizza, they say the best flour to use for pizza is bread dough because it has more protein. It has a better structure. It's you get a chewier texture. Or 00, which is a pastry flour. I've used that. But you know what? I like all-purpose flour. I think I like it all around. I think it does the better job. But that's, you know, that's a personal preference. All right. Mistakes that people make when making anything with yeast is they have their water too cold, and they will not wake up, they will not activate when it's cold, or too hot, that kills the yeast. Salt, never, ever, 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 ever add salt directly to your yeast. That's a big no-no. Not checking the expiration date on your yeast. If you keep it in the freezer, and I know this to be a fact, because I've used yeast that has expired, that proofed, it will last and last. And then overproofing. I made my sister some rolls, both of my sisters some rolls, and I fell asleep. And I think that I made the 30-minute rolls, and they overproofed. And you could just smell, it smelled like beer. That's what it smelled like. It smelled like a brewery. And I know I overproofed them. Now, the reason they overproofed is because I used 3 tablespoons of yeast. The more yeast you use, the quicker and easier it is to overproof something. And if you're going to use a recipe saying 30 minutes, you need to make it and do it, bake it. Make it and bake it. Or it can overproof and it'll be too alcohol-y, you know what I'm saying? It develops that CO2 and that ethanol. And then another overproofing is when you let it rise and rise and rise and you forget about it and it will collapse. The yeast has done all they can do and that's it. Your bread's going to be a big flop. But you could make flatbread out of it. Now, you know, the French people, they use fresh yeast. Now, instant yeast is it's finer than active dry yeast. Now, instant yeast, you have a quick rise. It's milled more finely when processed. It's dried very quickly. And it was introduced in the 1970s. Now, when you use instant yeast, now this is active dry yeast. I have to proof it. But when you use instant yeast, make sure you check the date. You can add that instant yeast in directly into your flour. You don't have to proof it. And when I say proof, I'm talking about this. You can put it directly into whatever you're making, but just make sure your expiration date is okay. Now, that's why I always proof all of my yeast, is to make sure that it does this before I add expensive ingredients, because you don't never know. Let's see, I took a bunch of notes. The differences in yeast is the active dry yeast, it must be dissolved, like this one right here. And you have to dissolve it in water because there is a coating on that yeast. And it has to be put in a liquid. Like I said, the instant can be put directly into your ingredients, like your flour. Yeast in jars, like this, provides a more airy and lighter texture. Active dry yeast cells, they are dormant yeast cells, and they need to be proofed in water no more than 110 degrees. What else can I tell you? I don't think there's anything else I need to tell you about the yeast. The commercial dry yeast has a protective coating, and it protects the living yeast cells, requiring, spit it out, Butch, to be dissolved in water. And the instant yeast has a more permeable coating for direct mixture. And it has a thinner coating. Some yeast has encapsulated commercial grade. They encapsulate starch or palm oil mixtures to improve the shelf life. Now, how does yeast work? Do you know that? Well, they're a little fungi, or fungi, I call it fungi. They consume sugars, and then they release the CO2, and which is carbon dioxide, and ethanol. So what they're doing is they're munching out, and they pass gas. Essentially, that's what they're doing. That's what causes the bubbles. And I'm gonna tell you what, it's a tasty passing gas, isn't it? All right, so there is my yeast lesson for the day. All right, there we go. Now, look at there. You can see it moving around down in the bottom. They are going to town. Eat up, buddies. Eat up. Look at that. And when it does that, you know they are hungry. All right. I want to go live soon, and I've said this before. Y'all comment, tell me when it would be convenient, because I'm not going to go live and sit there and nobody talk to me. I tried that when I first started my channel, and I had a lot of trolls talking dirt. They were talking dirt, smack, trash. All right, y'all. Let's get it going. We need 2 2/3 cups. 2 2/3 cups of all-purpose or bread or 00 flour. I am using all-purpose flour. That's what I be doing. Where's my third? My turkey came out really good. But I'm telling you, I am getting so discouraged because I really am trying hard to get to 1,000 subscribers. Y'all, it is so hard. Unless you got the niche and you're putting out exactly what people want to see. I mean, I see people watching channels where people just sit and eat all the time. Which, you know, that's fine. All right, that's 2 2/3. All right, that's 1 and 2. But I got my mom, that cookbook that my sister did, you know, for my other sister and I. And I am I'm going to do some recipes out of that. This is still wet from the dishwasher. Heck on it. All right, now I need to add my salt to what? My flour. Right on. So salt, we need to put in, where is my salt? 1/2 to 1 teaspoon. So I think I'm gonna do about a teaspoon. Now, last time I made a pizza, I added some seasoning to my dough. So I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder. I'm going to eyeball it. About a 1/2 teaspoon. And some of this garlic and herb. I don't want to add much because this stuff is strong as I don't know what. And a little bit of black pepper because I like it. And you can add oregano, dried basil, whatever you like. You can put in this flour. Okay? Whatever you like. Now, let me get back to the cold proofing. Now, I don't want this to overproof. So I'm going to mix it up and I'm going to pop it in the refrigerator. I'm going to cover it up tightly. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator until sometime later, much later. You can do this process for 24 to 72 hours. After that, you need to discard it or cook it for flatbread or something. And the reason you do that is because putting it in the refrigerator kind of keeps it at bay. It won't overproof. And the thing about that also is it will, the fermentation will be slower and you'll have a better flavor. It won't be you know, too alcohol-y like. Make sure I told you that right. Yeah. You see, what you do is you mix your dough. And the lower yeast prevents over fermentation. So I put 2 teaspoons of yeast in here, so I probably should have only put 1. Yeah, I probably should put 1. So I may just use half of this mixture and then add some more water. We'll see. So if you're gonna do a cold proofing, don't use a whole lot of yeast. And you can look up online for recipes for cold proofing pizza dough. Okay. Allow the dough to rise at room temperature 1 to 4 hours. So you want to let it sit out 1 to 4 hours. Then you put it in the refrigerator. Then when you're getting ready to cook, you need to take it out of the refrigerator a few hours before, at least 1 to 2 hours, so it can get back room temperature and it can start to rise a little bit more. And I will put all that in the description box. All right. See, when you put it in the refrigerator, the dough rises slowly in the refrigerator. This technique enhances flavor and texture, and it's easier to manipulate. It breaks down the complex carbohydrates into simple sugars, and it creates more of a chewier, tastier, easier stretch, but a tastier crust. Yep. All right, I'll shut up now. Now, like I said, I may not pour this entire, because that is a, well, shoot, I'm going to go ahead and do it. We'll see. We'll just see. Because it actually calls for 2.5 teaspoons, but I'm only using 2. Because of the cold proofing. Now, if it rises too quickly, then I'll have to do something different. And I'm going to have to add some more water. And you want just enough water for it to come together. And, you know, once you get it, after it rises, you want to take it out and knead it. Or you can knead it before, but you got to form that texture in order for it to be able to stretch. So it won't break when you go to roll it out to the size you want it. You have to form those gluten strands or it will tear all to pieces. And you can let it rise, then punch it down, and then you can knead it for 10 minutes. You can do this in your stand mixer also. And if you do it in your stand mixer, just do it until it's stretchy, smooth, and pulls away from the bowl. And kneading also redistributes the yeast to give them something else to eat on. It moves them around. is what it does. And flour, as I've said it a million times, according to the humidity, flour may not take a lot of liquid, and sometimes it may want a lot. It's just one of them things. Depends on the weather, I guess, or the humidity, like I said. And it's been really warm today. So I'm just kind of kneading this a little bit with the spoon, and then I'll take it out after it rises and knead it some more, and then put it in the refrigerator. But if you got a stand mixer, you can definitely do it in the stand mixer. Just remember not to add your salt to your liquid yeast. Put it in your flour. Check the expiration date, and don't overproof. Okay. Now I put a little bit of oil in the bottom of this bowl. So my dough won't dry out. And that olive oil is not going to hurt it. All right, I'm going to cover this up. And I'm going to let this sit 1 to 2 hours. Okay. Now I don't have to sit this in a really warm spot since we're not apprehensive about getting it to rise quickly. So I'm just going to cover this up and just sit it somewhere in the kitchen, and I'm going to check it in about an hour. Okay? Wish me luck. Maybe I can take a nap. You know, I've changed my mind since I used that 2 teaspoons of yeast. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the refrigerator. And that'll just slow it down, period. Because I don't want it to overproof. So this could be a great experiment. Hey, how's everybody doing in the YouTube world? Okay. If you watched the beginning of this video, I have taken the dough out of the refrigerator. I put it in the oven to let it warm up, because you need to let it warm up. And then I took it back out, and then I kneaded it, because I did not knead it yesterday. So you have to knead it in order to form some texture and stretch, or it will fall apart. It won't hold very well. So I put it back in the oven, and I let it rise. Okay, I'm gonna dump it out. And it will rise more, but I got another late start today, y'all. I'm tired. I'm not getting enough sleep. I was up early this morning, and I made those cinnamon rolls. And if you haven't seen that video, if I've posted it, I hope I have by the time you see this. If not, I'll post it right after. Y'all, it was so, oh, they are so delicious. And I tweaked that recipe, and I kid you not, it is the best cinnamon roll that I have ever eaten, that I've made. Okay, now I cannot make my pizza bigger than this. And this is clean. It's just where I burnt the bottom of some pizza last time I made it. And I thought I got it off. And, well, it just stained it. So, it's clean. I might can scrub it more, but I don't want to ruin the wood, you know. Okay, let's get to it. I got the other part of my dough covered up. Now, I'm going to use a roller. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And Randy likes his pizza pretty thin, but I don't want to do it too thin. Now, I've got pepper in this dough also, along with some other seasonings, as you well know if you've watched the entire video. Okay. So it's about right. And I'm going to take some cornmeal and let me see. I need my rolling pin again. I'm having struggles today, y'all. I am tired. Okay, let me try this again. All right. And I'm heating up my little thing to 500. All right. Okay. And the reason I put the cornmeal on there is for it to be able to slide off easy. And it'll help, you know, the bottom be crispy. And I want to stretch it out a little bit. And I'm going to tell you, this little pizza oven really does makes it taste so good. A lot better than the regular oven. Stretch it out. Okay. Now I think I'm going to do mine first. Let me get some cheese. Now, Parmesan and spinach and mushrooms, I think, go very well together. So I've got some pizza sauce, and it's the Food Line brand, no sugar added, and it's very good. I don't want a lot of pizza sauce. Just a little. Okay. And then I'm going to add, I was going to do some sausage, and I just didn't have time, you know, today. I'm really struggling for time to do the things I need to do today. I'm trying to get caught up on laundry, and you know how it can be. Okay, and then I'm going to add some parm and then some mushrooms. And that parm is going to be wonderful with that spinach. Okay. And then we're gonna add some mushrooms. And I sauteed these, as you saw. I'm just not a big pepperoni fan. I'll eat it, but I'm not, you know, I don't love it. Randy loves it. Alrighty, there we go. And I want to put a little bit of fine black pepper on it. And a little bit of salt, not much. Because that Parmesan's salty too. And then we're gonna put some mozzarella on it. And we can't make this pizza too high because it'll hit that burner on that oven over there. I'm gonna try to get some on the ends here, on the edges. Because you know when cheese melts, it seems to go to the very middle. Okay. Now I'm gonna put this in the oven. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna start working on his. Now he likes his thin. And this will make 3 pizzas, this dough recipe of this size, which is about, I think that's about a 10-inch. It's about 10 inches, I think. Here's mine. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm gonna stick it in the oven. I bought me this pan today. I need a great big sheet pan. Okay, I needed a big one. All right, now I'm gonna put the cheese down because he likes his pepperoni crispy. And he don't like a heap load of cheese. Put just a little bit of parm on it. Okay. And we got these big old pepperonis here. They're huge. I might as well put one more. Okay. Oops. Oops. Okay. Alrighty, that one's done. Look there, y'all. And I'm gonna make a cheese pizza. And I'm gonna make a small cheese pizza. And see all of that black stuff that's on this stone? You scrape what you can off, but it leaves flavor. And that's what got on this. Because I left it laying in there after I thought I cleaned it. I mean, I want to turn that bottom one down just a little bit. Voila. Yummy, yummy. Okay. So this is the spinach one, and this is his. There we go. Look at that. And I know it's good. And this is the cheese one. Look here. Yummy. And the spinach one. Look at the back of that thing. It's gonna be good. Thank y'all for watching. I'll put the recipe to my pizza dough in the description box. Please subscribe, hit that like button, and share. I appreciate it. God bless. I wanted to come back. It's delicious. It's so good.